This meeting
No,
is
I'm
being
out.
recorded.
I'm out. No, I don't
Yes.
want to. No, you didn't tell me we were going to be recording this.
Big Brother is watching as we speak. The Cinnamon episode 51. We are still in our podcast hangover from all the partying and celebrating we did for our 50th episode. And we are back yet again. We're going to soldier through it like the professionals that one of us is.
Yeah, this truly is the episode that almost wasn't, due to the fact that, and that's what Daryl's picking on me for, is I, of course, forgot what day it was and saw a message from Daryl. Hey, you coming? Coming to what? What's going on?
I sent
the show we're recording.
I sent the message to the meeting link, and Doug just responded in all caps, "Fuck you."
I didn't know.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're not doing a show anymore."
No. First word, yes. Second word, no.
We are here, though. We are here. We are on the same page, and we are here for another episode for all of you wonderful people out there. I don't know what happened last episode, but it got round about almost triple the numbers that most of our episodes get. So good times had by us.
Awesome indeed. And
awesome
if you've
indeed.
decided that you liked that episode and you just want to keep this train rolling, this will hopefully still be fun. If for no other reason, then we're about to talk about even more things that we love today.
Even more things that we love today. That's what we do on this show. Celebrate the things we love. Unlike Infinite. Whoa, boy.
You just wanted to go straight for that one.
Doug's face.
You just wanted to go straight for that one. That, believe it or not, in the list of movies, I was like, "Ooh, I've seen this and this and this," and the one that I went, "No, that was not it."
Oh, it wasn't it?
I would watch Infinite again.
Like under duress, or
you mean as in if I needed to notify people that I was in danger, I should be like, "Hey, want to come over for an Infinite watch party?" No,
quick, call the cops! Call the cops! Doug, blink twice if you're watching Infinite.
There were aspects I dug. Obviously, you did not, and that's fine.
That's fine. That's movies
what
are
didn't work for
subjective.
you?
The movie.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for simplifying.
I thought this story has been done before and better. I thought the action, while decently filmed, still was not up to par with what we were seeing in 2021 these days. I saw somebody's letterbox that said Mark Wahlberg is the perfect person to cast for someone who has no idea what's going on in a movie. And I 100% agree with that, but I still didn't find him all that believable. Like, you get what you get when you watch a Mark Wahlberg action movie, which isn't much. It was just overall, like, until recently, I'd still been waiting for that summer blockbuster to really scratch that itch, and I was like, maybe it's gonna be Infinite, and boy, was it not. It standard action, get the MacGuffin to save the world, but we've seen that much better many times from other places.
I feel as though now that you've said that, I need to go pull up my review. By any chance, did you check out my review of Infinite?
No,
because I mentioned you.
Oh, buddy.
So forgive this horrible self-promotion as I pull up my review of Infinite and read to you the last 3 sentences of my review.
Oh, great.
The Cinnamon co-host Daryl Menzel describes the summer blockbuster season as his favorite time of the cinematic year for offering a place to get away from the heat and reality for a little while. By the way, summer blockbuster season, for you, I hyperlinked to our episode so that they could go check out.
Smart man. Marketing Davidson over here.
That's right. He likes big action, sexy people, and ridiculous premises. If you feel like Daryl, you're going to come away feeling infinitely satisfied. But now I feel like I need to create like an update or put in an asterisk and go, this film not endorsed by Daryl Menzel.
What you do is that infinitely part right there, just link that to my review so they can go be like, wait, what's this Doug guy talking about? I don't think they're on the same page.
Well, while I do agree with you, and even in my review, I mentioned that as well, how they definitely picked pieces from other places. They totally did that. Total Recall, The Matrix. Well, the first, the
good Total Recall.
Yeah. adaptation, it did pull from some places, and I do agree with you. The reliance on slow motion, it got aggravating after a while. But I liked the stuff with Dylan O'Brien. I liked that timeline story. Would have liked to have seen more of that.
Much more of that.
Munzakis showing up as Artisan. I mean, he's just so much fun to watch no matter what the fuck he's doing, but especially because they always get him to do crazy shit, and he does that very well.
There's a theory postulating about the internets that the only reason he took that job is because they could do a "How Did This Get Made" with somebody from "How Did This Get Made" in the movie. He knew that shit was going to be bad, and he's like, this is a perfect meta way to get into this.
Love it. But there were more interesting things that could have been explored, but they absolutely went off the reservation as far as the original story goes, based on the summary of the original book. So as far as I'm concerned, this was a more satisfying prequel story for something that could be more interesting later. And it was interesting enough that if I were like, I got to kill some time, what's something mindless I could put on? I'd put that on. Whereas, and I hate to say this, the movie I was actually referring to was The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard,
which I loved.
I did not at all. And I really dug the first one. I walked out of there disappointed because it was, all right, we're going to do the same jokes, but we're going to make them meaner.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, like Looney Tunes in a bad way, where it's just malicious after a while.
Yeah.
And the amount of overcranking that they did for the action got a little ridiculous for me. So just the combination of things, I was like, Hitman's Bodyguard was fun. This is kind of painful after a while. Although that final credit moment, I won't spoil it for people that haven't seen the movie. Stick around through the credits. There's just a quick thing that got the biggest laugh out of me compared to the entire movie.
Yeah, I really liked Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. And it definitely does slant a little bit meaner and a little bit nastier, which is why I liked it more than the original Hitman's Bodyguard, which I thought was just kind of overall goofy. But this one, yeah, this scratched that got me to that summer blockbuster. I'm like, now the summer blockbuster is here. I was fearing we wouldn't get in until July, but I think that we have safely ushered in the big bad ridiculous pomp and circumstance of the blockbuster. It's goofy. It's got a ridiculous plot. It lets them be their zaniest selves. And like I said in my review, man, we've seen Ryan Reynolds do this a billion times, but that billion times is honed it to a point now.
If you ask Crystal, you'll know that I don't use this word lightly, the B word. I do not like it. And Daryl's laughing because he already knows where I'm going with this. If you haven't read Daryl's review of Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, please read it. If only so you can find out what kind of basic bitch he is. I mean, just totally UGG wearing, yoga pant, basic bitch.
Oh yeah,
it is glorious.
Fur on the collar. I'm all the way there, man.
It is glorious.
The first leaf hits the ground and I'm in front of the Starbucks ready to go, man. Yeah, I figured with the movie that ridiculous, I want to slant my review a little bit ridiculous.
Sure.
And then that's the tone that I took with that. But yeah, so we are on opposite sides of the fence of Infinite and The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. But what else have you seen before we get into our topic for today, sir?
Well, just to keep it sort of action-centric for a moment, and this isn't wholly action-centric, but I do want to at least point out that a movie that I checked out August-ish, I think, when it was on the festival circuit, is a film that got picked up by Well Go USA called The Paper Tigers. I've talked about it before. It was directed by Bao Tran and wrote and directed, as I recall. It is a story about three dudes that they were friends. They were teammates, if you will, being taught by a master in an unofficial school, basically the guy's garage. And they got really close, and then they have a falling out. And they don't come back together until their seafood dies. But then they start to find out information that maybe their Sifu was murdered.
Ooh.
Now, keep in mind, this sounds in a lot of ways like Bruce Lee's. Help me out, my brain just stopped.
Bruce Lee's every movie, like every other kung fu movie.
No, the big first one.
Chinese Connection.
No.
Fist of Fury.
Yes, I think. But yeah, where he comes back, his master's died because another dojo came in and whatever else, and he's like, I've got to get vengeance.
Yeah, that's Fist of Fury.
And this one sort of feels like that, except instead of having like your super fit high class student, these guys are middle-aged. They've got problems.
Guys.
They've one of them is injured pretty seriously. The other one is just seriously out of shape, whereas the other one is still a coach in MMA and in good shape. But I highly recommend this film. It's going to be out on home video on the 22nd of this month. The bonus features in particular are really great. What I like about him is that instead of just being like, here's deleted scenes, it's deleted scenes, but you also get some of the on-set interaction. It's not just the unused footage. It's almost like the unused raw footage. So you're getting them interacting with each other.
Yeah.
And there's a really interesting moment where you find out that a sort of toss away scene background where you're learning about the Sifu a little bit, you find out is actually a very major restaurant in the martial arts community of Seattle because it was Bruce Lee's favorite restaurant and he ate there all the time. And only ate 2 dishes apparently, and on the special features you get a little thing about that, and you see the actor who played the Sifu learning how to cook from the guy running the place.
Oh, nice. Man,
So,
the lost art, the incredibly lost art of special features.
Yeah. And so I definitely recommend checking that out. It was one thing that I told Bao. He had actually contacted me when Fantasia came around, but I wasn't covering Fantasia, so there was nothing I could do. But I was going back and forth with him a little bit, and I told him flat out, I can't wait for this to get a home release. I look forward to these bonus features, and they delivered. So I'll have a full review of the home release coming up soon before the physical release drops. But if you want to know anything about this movie, I've got a spoiler-free review available as well, but I definitely recommend that. The other film I'd recommend that I checked out, it comes available on Nat Geo Friday the 18th, right? Yeah, the 18th, and I think simultaneously on Hulu. It's a new documentary from Dawn Porter. She did John Lewis' Good Trouble, which I haven't seen but heard good things about, and The Way I See It, which I did see.
Okay.
Which I did see. This documentary is called Rise Again, Tulsa and the Red Summer. So it focuses on the Tulsa massacre and some of the work that's been done to unearth certain things in Tulsa, both literally and metaphorically, but it also tracks the Red Summer itself, the series of race riots that took place in 1921. It is surprisingly hopeful and uplifting in a way that I wouldn't have expected it given the subject matter. It is in the face of needing to be relentless and just absurdly patient for generations to have some of the information that they have found as of July 2020 is incredible. So if you get the chance, it's about 90 minutes. I do recommend checking this one out.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Boom, boom, boom. You ready to get into the topic for the day, sir?
Did you have anything other than your two?
No, because I'm ready to get into the topic of the day, sir.
Yeah. Fuck you, I don't watch movies. Let's talk about movies.
Exactly. Let's keep this thing rolling. We're going to talk about some more than we usually talk about since we're doing the top 5. So let's keep this train rolling.
Yeah. I'm honestly always excited to talk about this kind of stuff. It's always interesting to me to see not just where you and I agree, disagree, but just overall everybody. And I say this not denigrating the choice whatsoever. I saw today that someone had in their top 3 Mortal Kombat. And I was like, awesome. I'm glad you love that movie. I may not get what you get out of it, but that's something that I dig about seeing what people watch. Either it could be seen as maybe they haven't seen a bunch of movies, I've watched 191 so far this year, which is small potatoes compared to people that do this full time.
True.
Um, so when I talk about mine, I'm looking at it from here, but then you've got the average moviegoer who, thanks to services like Netflix, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, HBO Max, they can watch more new stuff at home. So hopefully it widens the gap a little bit. I'm just curious, because I know, before we dive in real quick, have you been keeping any list this year, or have you just been, what do I like, and then throwing it together? Because you were talking about doing homework the other day. What is homework for you?
Who's putting this list together? Because I don't keep a letterbox of my top movies for the year. So that forces me to sit down and think about what all I've seen, and then wrestle with what makes that five, and then whatever makes that five, what order those five will be. And so if you haven't picked up on the title, we are halfway through the year. We are doing our top five of 2021 thus far, which will be complemented in December, late December, of our top 10 of the year, as we are wont to do. It seems that will be our tradition. So,
and I love how you describe that. It makes it sound biblical. You wrestle with these.
I do
figure out the order. How do you grapple?
I was wrestling. I was grappling. It was intense, man. It was a lot of ground game went into. It's
important. It's important, particularly if you're not sure if you're in your weight class or not. You know, if you're wrestling above your weight class, then you don't want to go too high, because they got size and weight on you. You got to go low.
Hey, listen, whenever I do a show with you, sir, I'm always out of my weight class. I'm just trying to, I'm punching up. I'm punching up.
You clearly haven't been talking to my doctors. So.
Clearly our doctors need to email each other. Why don't you kick it off, sir? I almost always kick these bad boys off. Why don't you kick this one off?
My number five, and it's funny because I know you bring up Letterboxd as you sort of stick your nose up at me, oh, you keep a Letterboxd list. Yes, I do, because it's the only way my brain can organize fuck all. Did I watch a movie? When did I see that? And I find it really, really helpful. But if you've been watching my Letterboxd, or if you've been watching my social media at all, you will not be shocked that on my top five is the Michael Rianda, The Mitchells versus the Machines. This is my most watched movie of the year. I've probably seen it 7 times by now.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to screen it early, in time for, I think, the theatrical, if I remember right. And between the time that I got the screener and the time that the film released on Netflix, I think I'd watched it 3 times already.
Boom.
Yeah. It is a lot. It is a lot. And some people can't handle that. And I have no issue with that whatsoever. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. Highly recommend it. For those of you that aren't familiar, it is from the same studio, Sony Pictures Animation, that released Into the Spider-Verse. Lord and Miller are producers. They are not creators on this, but you can feel that aura, if you will. It plays with a meta narrative because it's centered on a young woman who's going to film school. So everything around her has this cinematic element, but it's also drawn in a watercolor style while also using different kinds of animation around that. And while it is a family story that takes place in an apocalypse story, it's also, it balances both of those really, really well. And for me anyway, I loved the fact that while it plays with meme culture in the way that they're used now, we're going to take an image and use it in different ways, like the Batman discourse that is going on right now.
Loving Twitter these last 2 days.
Horny Twitter is out on Maine.
Yeah, they are.
But what's really great about it is that memes are really, when you go down to their definition, are the things that we give meaning to that get inserted into a culture or community. So there's a moment in the film where you find out that the father and daughter, who are the ones really butting heads throughout the story, have a song that they dance to. That song is something that the daughter wouldn't have been old enough to have ever heard on her own. Her parents would have had to get it for her. So it's that feeling of, I'm going to take something I like and create a moment with my child, which will then mean something to them, which they might pass on. We have these things in our homes, in our communities, the things that we share, and the Mitchells and the Machines taps into a lot of that.
All righty then.
That's why it's my number 5.
That's why it's your number 5.
Mm-hmm.
My number 5, to kick off the list here, Judas and the Black Messiah. Directed by Shaka King, man. A look at Fred Hampton of the Black Panthers, and how Bill O'Neill plays into the unfortunate happenstance that surrounds Fred Hampton and him in the apartment being shot 50 million times as this chapter of the Black Panther takes a serious blow after the death of Fred Hampton. Black Panther community that was doing good for the local community is trying to strive for that equality that it appears that we are still striving for years later. And it's focused more on the titular Judas, coming before the Black Messiah in the title, because the focus is on Lakeith Stanfield as Bill O'Neill. What are you giggling at? Don't tell me it's the word titular. It better not be the word titular.
No. It's because when you brought that up, I started giggling. I tried to hide it because I wanted to be like, who's the lead actor in that? And you brought it up. For those of you not familiar, this was a discussion Daryl and I had many, many times during our Oscar shows because of how Warner Brothers, not necessarily Warner Brothers, but certainly how the Academy of Voters put forward both actors as lead. There's one lead.
There's one lead.
Judas.
Yes, exactly. Give Daniel Kaluuya the best lead supporting. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but we created it just for him.
The best leading supportive actor we've ever had.
I do believe this is now on HBO. You can stream it now. I know it had its 30-day window. I think it came off, but I'm pretty sure it's June now. So I think it is back on.
It's definitely out on home video.
Yeah, I think if it's out on home video, it's out on Max or will be on Max soon for you. If you did not catch it in that 30-day window that they're doing with their HBO Max releases, it is tense. It is a tense movie at times, and this I think is, as far as acting, this and two other movies on my list are fine examples of superb acting coming out of both Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield and Dominique Fishback as well, and even big wobbly-headed Jesse Plemons as well. Is that guy? Whenever he pops up, he rarely disappoints. Maybe Treasure Island. I don't know about that. Let's see about that. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jungle Cruise.
Not Treasure Island. Jungle Cruise. Yeah, he popped at the end of the trailer.
I was like, he ain't a Muppet.
As far as good dramas go, I think this is one of the best dramas of the year. It's gotten its flowers, or at least Daniel Kaluuya got his flowers for the Oscars. So congratulations to him. It's a masterclass in acting and building of tension and pacing, I do believe.
Right on. I wouldn't be surprised if in critical organizations that voted prior to its release, that voted without having seen the film or having had access, I wouldn't be shocked if it showed up on end of year lists again. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah,
would not be surprised at all if that shows up on my end of year list. But that's I guess it's like the progress report of podcasts. We'll check in at the end of the year to see see what in our top 5 made it.
Don't worry, I'm taking notes. Okay. We'll know how you're doing.
I thought about putting out a blind top 10 of 2022 in January and then waiting till December to see if anything in that list matches up.
Here are the movies I think I'm going to love. Surprise, none of them came out. Oh, well.
Yeah, that would have been the case with Dan.
We're still waiting on the Green Knight. July.
All right, so you're number 4, sir.
You talked about a masterclass of tension with Judas and the Black Messiah. I found that in my number 4, and in particular, it's a different kind of tension, and it's one that if you are, from a cultural perspective, if you are familiar with what it's like to be amongst a group of Jews, there is a certain degree of performance, a certain degree of tension, of one-upmanship that takes place. And Emma Saugman's Shiva Baby fucking nails this. So the premise of this film is that a college student, she is a sugar baby, hence the name, partially. She, after being with her, quote, daddy, goes to a Shiva. And for those of you that are not familiar, a Shiva is a memorial service for someone who has passed. It, depending on how you decide to follow the rules of Shiva, it's usually 7 days where the family sits as a unit in a space and they mourn together. They welcome visitors in their home if they want to come by and what have you. So someone that her family knows has passed, she is meeting her parents there. And just so happens daddy shows up. Yeah. So you've got this tension of who she is as a person, who she is as a sexual being, while also the infantilism that happens with family. The way everything is shot and the music, it is so tense and uncomfortable and amazing that it has been difficult to forget since I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And I am hoping it gets a physical release. You can rent it now digitally, but I'm hoping it gets a physical release with special features. This started as a short film before it became a full feature. And particularly as one of the tribe, holy shit, did they nail so many details.
All right, right on.
I would almost want to show it to my family to see what they thought, and at the same time be like, you guys can be those judgy bastards. So anyway, but that's my number 4, Shiva Baby.
Shiva Baby. All right then. My number 4. The quest for the American dream as reflected in Minari.
Ooh.
Yes, Lee Isaac Chung. Also another movie that got some of its flowers at the Academy Awards. I do believe Young Yu Jung, right? Got her best supporting actress.
Yes,
Is that what she? Yeah, that's what she pulled off.
Very well deserved.
Very, very well deserved. There's other people I would have liked to have seen it go to, but I'm in no means upset that she took it. If you're unaware of what Minari is, a story of a family who is moved to middle of nowhere America with the husband's dreams of farming and getting a farm on. They're tired of their life of sexting chickens, which is the plucking of chickens. Seeks to claim what is his in the American dream. And it is a look at the American dream as viewed through the eyes of immigrants. I think people finally have learned the last holdouts that Stephen Yeun is that business. And that he is an amazing actor. And that Lee Isaac Chung is an amazing director. Very good character piece. We talked about master classes in acting. This is one of the 3, I think, that is just that nails what it's like to convey the frustration and the joy and this numerous storylines going on of him trying to make it in America for his family while the grandson Alan Kim and grandma kind of find that generational gap and finding that common place and bonding as they're both strangers in this strange land. And then you the secret suffering of the wife who is kind of neglected throughout this as Stephen Yeun's character is focused on that dream. It is a lot of dishes being tossed in the air, but Lee Isaac Chung juggles them nicely, I think, and it all blends to just make one great cohesive story.
Right on.
A24, man.
What was that? 8? Yeah, they do incredible work.
They do incredible work, man.
I mean, just as a distributor, the stuff that they pick up, there was a conversation on Twitter about this recently, and I have to agree with it. They are a distributor. They're not necessarily making films. They just pick them to distribute. and yet they all have a similar style, even though they all vary in style. But you go, that's an A24 film. It's going to be, it's either going to be some wild artistic shit, or it's going to be a compelling drama. It could be a drama as artistic shit, yeah. But it's going to fall within that, because Swiss Army Man, holy shit, I love that movie.
Yeah.
And while I will never watch Midsummer again, it is still a brilliant film.
Is that A24? That is A24. I might watch that shit tonight. Shit. It is.
Are you feeling depressed? Do we need to, are you okay?
Unfortunately, it got bounced out of the paprika brackets by The Shining, although I did vote for Midsummer because I think it is incredibly hard to pull off a horror movie in bright ass day.
They tell you everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's one of those good.
There's a shot that shows you, hey, here's this thing that this cult has made. Hey, look at all the ways these people are going to die. Like, there's no secrets. Everything is out in the open. Yep. And it still will fuck you up.
It'll still fuck you up. But A24, man, I think they've come with a certain prestige now. And when you see A24 pop up in a trailer, you're like, oh, well, I mean, that's the trailer. I'm done. I'm in. I'm sold. And for me, Minari was definitely one of those.
That was, of all the nominees for Best Picture, that one was my favorite. I believe I am on record in 2 places having said that was my film. Yeah. Which was difficult because there were some really wonderful Best Picture nominees. The Father is incredible.
That is very interesting. Yes,
but I can't remember what you said you put down, but I'm pretty sure for me it was Minari.
As my number, what I would like to win Best Picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forget, going back to the Oscar show, I can't remember.
But
I do know for me it was Minari. Within the last, I want to say, month or so, whenever it came out on home video, I was lucky enough to do the home release review. And by the way, for those of you that liked Minari, if you have seen it, and obviously you have, sir, if you get the chance to watch it with the commentary, it's Lee Isaac it's Lee Isaac Chung and Young Yoon doing the commentary in 2 different places. They're on Zoom.
Yeah.
And just talking throughout the production about the production.
Oh, okay.
Not about the production. Sometimes he's trying to talk about something and she's like, excuse me, and then they go on over here. But it's really fascinating and really interesting. For instance, there's a wonderful shot of Stephen Yeun, Jacob, where he's smoking a cigarette and the sun's gone down.
Yep.
That was an accident. They were working on setting up a shot, and he just came over to talk and started smoking a cigarette, and they were like, let's capture this.
Oh, nice.
And that's one of the fascinating things about, if you get the chance, check out them commentaries, folks. You find out something neat.
Man, I fucking love commentary so much. What is, sir, your number 3?
Well, it's funny. We're talking about discovery, right? With these commentaries, the little things that you can find out. My number 3 is about that. And we've talked about it before. I believe you watched it after I did. My number 3 is Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself.
Interesting.
I have seen this film twice. It's streaming on Hulu.
Yes.
Hulu?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a streamer. So Hulu. Derek is a magician. He is a sleight of hand artist. He is someone who deals with illusions. But the entire show, while doing all of that, is an investigation of self.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not just one show that you are witness to, but several shows you are witness to. Because as he goes through it with our main audience, you will then, as he's explaining something, you'll be shown, and it's directed by Frank Oz, you'll be shown the same thing, but with different audience members involved.
Right.
And it does a wonderful job of doing that in order to show you this isn't made up. This is how the show operates. It is shocking. It is moving. And in watching it both times, I was in tears both times.
You and Leslie both. Although a stiff breeze can make her cry.
Okay, then I hope it's not drafty at your place, but
It seems like it is for every movie.
Oh,
Nice choice there, sir. I applaud
I
your
loved it.
choice.
Loved it.
Yeah, you gave it to me as a cinnamon challenge. My number three is highly debated, hotly contested, and talked about for years that it didn't exist until it did. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Surprise shit out of me.
That's your number three.
Yeah.
It's better than Minari.
Yeah, I enjoy it more than Minari, which is why I put it higher. And it's two different weight classes of film. Like one is a very weighty drama to look at, like I said, the American dream as seen through the eyes of immigrants, and one is just fun. We're gonna get these dudes in some costumes and we're just gonna punch some bad guys. And you know what? I am all down for that. And we get 4 hours of slow motion of punching of bad guys all throughout this movie. We talked about it a little bit back when it first hit HBO Max.
We did an entire Patreon episode,
an entire pinch about it. Great that he got to complete that dream. He finally got to see it through fruition. For all those who harried, harassed, and demanded, I'm glad you finally got to see your fucking movie. But in the end, man, I find it incredibly fascinating. Incredibly fascinating. I've said before, never again will we get a 4-hour-long superhero movie. So I enjoyed for that, just to be able to immerse myself in a world of superheroes for 4 hours. That is not me binging a show of some kind. And what he does with that 4 hours and it's just fascinating to see those comparisons between this and the theatrical Justice League, man. You can't not compare the two. So it's just fascinating in a number of assets and facets in ways that ultimately is just a good movie to watch, man. I think I've seen it 4 times now. I saw it twice. I saw the day it came out. I think I saw the day after that. And the day the Justice is Gray, which is just the dumbest phrase ever, hopped up on HBO Max. I had to work at 3 a.m. that day. So I just watched it that morning while I was working. And then I've watched it, one more time since then. It's just a good way to lose myself for 4 hours in a movie.
I get that completely. I was shocked when I watched it. Well, not just how much better it was from the theatrical, and I have fun with the theatrical. It's a little light, it's a little goofy, it's a little bit more super friendly. So I enjoyed that. But watching this and seeing the journey of the characters, and I've been pretty consistent with this. I haven't liked what I've seen, but I want to see where it's going to get us. And will that have been worth the journey? And at least with this extended version, with his version of it, I feel like it was almost worth it.
Almost
worth it.
My one complaint is you have an almost entire Justice League movie without your central character. And when he does come back, you still don't get it. He's still separate from the team a lot. It's like having an Avengers movie with no Cap. Like, you've got to have Soups doing some Justice League shit, and we don't get that really until the third act. But to make up for it, we do have Ancient Lamentation music, which
frequent and consistent.
Frequent and consistent. Many lamentations throughout this movie.
I have wanted to revisit it, and unfortunately 4 hours is just hard to find with so many other things to also cover and make time for. And it's particularly a film I'd like to sit and watch with Crystal, because she hasn't seen it. And I think we got as far as maybe
First Lamentation.
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, the First Lamentation. I think I got her up to almost the moment where the Nordic woman is singing into Aquaman's sweater,
sniffing that sweater, all creepy about it.
I mean,
so I'd be doing the same thing. So it makes sense.
It's Moma. It probably smells pretty good. But
Aqua Velva.
It's definitely Aqua something. But a little bit of Jack Daniels in there too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, real quick, always pisses me off that this version of Aquaman is so nihilistic that he's like, fuck the ocean.
Yeah.
And just throws his
the bottle.
It's like,
yeah. It's your home, man. That's your home.
Who lives there? Apparently he does shit in the woods. Like he does shit where he eats. But anyway, but I loved how they did stuff. It's not just showing us the journey that Bruce had to take to get there, but it annoyed the fuck out of me that in the theatrical version, Bruce looks lost when everyone is talking and he doesn't know what's going on, and he's like, I got money, I'll pay for it. But when in this version, when everybody's doing stuff, he then demonstrates, oh, I've known what you've been saying the entire time. That's fucking Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Batman's not going to walk into a situation where he doesn't already have shit figured out. So I loved that. I loved that. And we only got that far and I haven't been able to show her. Did you think Gray was worth the squeeze when you did?
No. I mean, no, I mean it doesn't enhance or detract. It's just a different take on it. It's like Mad Max Fury Road, the Chrome Edition, or like the Logan Noir. Like none of those are inherently.
I thought added a little. Fury, you kind of need the color. It doesn't have the impact without the color. But
yeah, you need those orange and reds and yellows. I think Logan is the best example of them. It was interesting. It was interesting to see. It's obviously color corrected to be that. It's not shot like that, so there are some issues there where you're like, oh, that black guy's not blending into the shadows very well, or he blends in too well to the shadows, I should say.
Where's that soundboard go?
This t-shirt floating around in the background there. But yeah, it's you can watch either one and be just as satisfied, honestly.
Now, just for my own curiosity with you, and we got time for me to ask these questions. They re-released the 4K edition of BVS in the Snyder ratio. They did that as a made-to-order through the Warner Archive. You could get it sometimes at Best Buy, Amazon, whatever. I got lucky and found it when it was on sale. Boom. Picked it up just to have it. Get the definitive, if you will, experience with it. Do you have any sense of why the UK gets a 4K edition? Granted, we can play 4K. 4K players are region free.
Mm-hmm.
But why the US, for some reason, doesn't?
Of Justice League? Is that Justice League?
Because personally, I just can't, forgive me, justify spending $50 on a 4K. Like, it has to be like, I spent $40 on an out-of-print Blu-ray that came with the follow-up. So...
that makes sense.
And something else.
Fiscally responsible and makes sense. I don't know if I could justify $50. It would have to be stuffed to the rafters with special features. And I mean like enough special features that equals the length of the movie plus commentary for me to really justify spending that kind of dough. And I if I remember correctly, we will get it. It's just like fall or something like that down the road. But I do want that in 4K because, if it's nothing else, like no one will ever deny Snyder knows visuals. And that's what you get a 4K for, man. You get those sweet, tasty visuals. This is a superhero art project. Varying levels of success depending on who you ask, but in reality, this is a superhero art project, I think.
I will not argue with that. It has been tweaked, fiddled with, adjusted, gets a little Greek. So, Lamentations, etc.
etc.
Yeah.
What is your number 2 there, sir?
Well, real quick before I get to that, and then I will say for those of you interested, I think Zavvi is selling it, Zavvi. They may be out of print the last time I saw, but they do have a US store. And I think it's like $36, but the only bonus feature is commentary from director Zack Snyder. That is literally the only bonus feature you get.
Say no more. Bam! I might check this out.
Okay, if you do, for that $50, can I borrow it?
Of course. You ain't got to ask, man. Of course you can. Definitely.
I recently got to do the difference between 4K Indiana Jones on disc and 4K Indiana Jones streaming, and I went, man, compressed audio blows. So
yeah, it does.
Particularly when you're forced, as I was, to jump from a disc to a streaming source. Man, that uncompressed video and audio, there's nothing that beats it. Anyway,
It looks like Zappy might not have it anymore, man. Because I'm seeing all their Zack Snyder Justice League stuff, and they have BVS and the Justice League, and that's it.
Okay, then here's how you solve that problem. Put on your best running shoes. Stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Go real fast. Turn back time.
There you go. If I can find a way.
You either pull a Barry Allen Flashpoint or you pull a Clark Kent Superman Richard Donner.
Yeah, go backwards around the world. Even as a kid, I was like, we all know it's bullshit, right?
It was. I showed that shit to Crystal when like a couple months into dating, and she was like, "This is some bullshit."
I've always thought that lady had a good head.
This scene is some bullshit. If I bring up that moment, she goes, "It's some bullshit."
Yeah, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. But
so, number 2.
Yeah.
As some people will describe my choice as some bullshit. Well, I am holding to it. This was a film that came under quite a bit of controversy upon its release. You appear confused, and I don't know if it's what I'm saying or you're still looking at Zavi.
No, I mean, it looks like it's right here to purchase on Amazon.
Good luck.
Zack Snyder's Justice League 4K Ultra HD. Anyways, what is I add to cart. What is it's a UK.
You heard it first, folks. If we listen hard enough, we'll be able to hear his password.
What is your number 2, sir?
My number 2 is the Sam Levinson Malcolm and Marie. It was my first 5-star review of the year.
I will not consider that bullshit because that was one that I was struggling. It was like at the 5, 6, 7 mark. I was like, this might make the cut. This might not make the cut. I don't know. So yeah, that's man. That's the Black Marriage Story.
No walls were punched.
No walls were. Well, that's not. Yeah, no walls were punched. It was just an ebb and flow of shouting and let's be cool for 10 minutes and get back to shouting. Yeah.
But the two of them together have incredible chemistry. I love the cinematography, the staging in the house, it being open so that the camera could just sort of fly everywhere.
Great house, man.
Oh, it was an amazing house. But so not only could it do that, but it also was very reflective of how we're pulling off these layers of things. The scene that a lot of folks, I think, took the wrong message from was the critic sequence.
The one at the beginning where he's walking around talking about the critics?
Yeah, he's specifically reading the review and just trash talking the critic. A lot of people read that scene as Levinson going after critics. And there were a lot of critics specifically who took that as that. And I sat there and I went, okay, everybody's going to interpret art however they interpret it, right? As a creator, you have no control over how people are going to do that. My read of the scene was not that. It was about him as a director, his control issues, his need to manipulate the narrative, his inability to, in some ways, accept or take criticism. Also, the fact that he's been more or less manipulating Marie to his own advantage in one way or another. So it was more about calling himself out, the character, than it was a call out on critics against Levinson. And the fact that both Zendaya and Washington are co-producers, they're co-producers on this thing. They workshopped the script. Levinson may have written it, but they had prerogative to make changes. They were in full control of this thing, and this is their picture. It was so fucking good. I finished it and was just slack-jawed at it. and I was sad that it didn't get any more attention. But to be fair, in addition to the critical response that it got, with people, if I may, being a little too sensitive, though everybody's entitled to their own emotions, then you had Judas come out. There was no hope for this picture.
No, there was no hope. After Judas came and just kind of stormed the shores, this was kind of swallowed up and left. It got the Annihilation treatment. And say what you want about Annihilation. I think it is an incredibly great cerebral sci-fi movie that came out 7 days after Black Panther came out and was just completely swallowed up with all the Black Panther discourse.
It had no chance.
Yeah,
at all.
I saw the trailer and I was like, this one is going to be some shit. And I saw the date at the end of the trailer and I was like, and no one's going to see it or talk about it. But yeah, I think this is and we're going to see a lot of that this year. I think now that studios are trying to just like, we got to get all of our 2020 and 2021 movies in here as much as we possibly can. There's a lot of packed and cramming, I think, from about here on out. The rest of the year, like I have far more July reviews lined up than I have for any other months previous. And I think we're going to see a lot of smaller films and even some mid-sized films get kind of swallowed up by some of the bigger joints that are. I mean, if whatever comes out the week before Black Widow. Sorry, Tomorrow War. But,
some people are already seeing it and saying wonderful things about Tomorrow War.
Yeah.
Who will know if anyone will remember? But then again, Tomorrow War comes out the Friday before? Yeah,
yep,
Friday before July 4th. And let's be honest, as much as I want to see Summer of Love, and I do, Questlove's documentary.
I want to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I got the screening pass for it.
Uh-huh.
I'm working overtime at that time.
We'll talk off mic. But because that's the 19th.
Yep.
I'm out of town. But Summer of Love, as good of a documentary as I've heard, it's going to get trampled by Tomorrow War because it's July 4th weekend.
Yeah, this is
now
the big
it's
July
counter
4th
programming,
yeah.
and I get it. But people are going to want some fun. They're going to go straight for Tomorrow War.
I mean, it's yes, it is a version of counter programming. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So what's your number 2?
It comes out June 19th, right? The Questlove joint?
2nd. Hits Hulu on the 2nd of July.
Oh, maybe the 19th is just the screening. That's right. My number 2 has already been mentioned by Mr. Doug Davidson.
A man of good taste,
in and of itself is my number 2. This joint was just it was nothing what I thought it was going to be when I hit play. You kind of gave me a brief setup of what it is, but it was nothing. I was not prepared for what it is that we got. It is all parts incredible journey of self-discovery and using such delightful tactics and methods to get there, to keep you hooked, to keep you entertained. I know we had discussions of what we thought was real and wasn't real. It might be some plants and a little bit faked and a little bit of misdirection. And I think part of those discussions also is factored into the joy of the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's just a one-man show for the most part. And it's just one man tour de force. The phrase that gets thrown around a lot, but I think is incredibly applicable here, Derek El Gaudio. And unfortunate that we can't go to the Q&A that we are invited to, unless you want to hop on a plane and head out to LA right now.
Can't do it.
It was good. If you have Hulu, I cannot recommend this enough. You talked about movies like Mitchell and Mitchell vs. Machine that you've seen, 6 or 7 times. This is one that I purposefully have not gone back to. And I'm going to hold off on going back to it until I'm ready to make my end of year list, just because I want to forget as much as possible to try to go back as fresh as possible into that movie again. Like it's well documented that Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite movies, but I don't watch it often because when I do watch it, I want that experience to be special, and I don't want it to get watered down by multiple viewings. So this is one that I'm definitely going to hold off on until November-ish when I'm starting to get that list together, and I cannot wait.
I don't. Yeah, there's sometimes when I hear about movies going to streaming where I'm like, yay, awesome, watch from the comfort of my home, and then I go, fuck, I'm never gonna get a physical release, am I?
Yeah.
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 And
There's a movie that's coming out on Hulu this week. And at the time that you all will be hearing this, and I'm pretty sure it's just straight to Hulu. And I'm like, I'd be a little bit weird. I'd like to have a physical release of that, maybe.
can you say what it is?
A False Positive on Hulu.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Neat.
yeah. It's gonna be. I'm dipping my toe into the little bit of
Good luck.
suspense thriller.
Ah,
Yeah, there.
I was watching the trailer like this.
Yeah, so was I. I love a good things are not as they seem type movie, and this appears to be one of those. But more on that when that review comes out. What, sir, tops your list so far, thus far, the first half of 2021?
The film that for me trumped Malcolm and Marie, as I said, my first 5-star.
Mm-hmm.
This I sometimes find it difficult to talk about this movie without getting emotional because of how when we consume art of any kind, we have a reaction to it. And there are some art, and we joke about this when we see stuff on social media. I feel attacked. I'm in this and I don't like it, that kind of thing. I watched Violet and all I could see was myself. It's Justine Bateman's film, actor, writer, producer, director. If I remember correctly, this is her feature debut. It stars Olivia Munn. Justin Theroux does vocal work, and it is so good. It centers on a woman, Violet, who has a voice in her head, played by Justin Theroux, who is constantly telling her what a piece of shit she is.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the film, not only do you hear that voice, but you get what's essentially intrusive thoughts made real in the form of horrifying images. Could be something dead or decaying or something else. You'll also get writing on the screen, which is Violet, Olivia Munn's thoughts, trying to convey what she's thinking in response to the voice or to their intrusive thoughts. It is a very artistic film, and you have to be in the right frame of mind for it. I was very grateful that at the time Preston was only a couple months old, and so he was sleeping on my chest while I watched it, and I was so grateful he was there, feeling him breathing, feeling the weight of him, because Violet just shredded me. I haven't felt so raw after watching a film in quite some time. I am hopeful. I've heard a rumor it's going to be released, get a wider release in the fall, and I am hoping that whoever picks it up, it's someone that will inevitably give it a home release treatment. It's not a movie that I will be like, I'm in the mood for Violet, but it's a movie that I will want to have. So if at any point I'm struggling with something, I can go watch this film. Let's talk.
Okay. There you go.
That's my number one.
My number one is my greatest fear on this earth put on screen.
Army of the Dead?
No, sir. I welcome the challenge. I got a chainsaw. I know what to do. We talked about it before earlier in the year during the award season, I do believe. It is The Father. My worst fear is losing my mental faculties and still retaining enough to realize that I might be losing my mental faculties. It's kind of my bread and butter. It's, I guess, probably everybody's bread and butter, really. But it's what I've made my name and personality base off of. And to lose that would be to lose my identity. So seeing Anthony Hopkins in this state of mental decline and seeing how they choose to portray that, Florian Zeller, the director, and how he interacts with Olivia Colman, your favorite actress's favorite actress, and and how he interacts with Rufus Sewell, who's always sinister. I don't care what's going on. It's just it's obvious things, and it's also little things. And you're like, wait a minute, was that just like that in the previous scene? Oh, well, I better rewind that just to see. Oh, they did change that little subtle hints include that something's not quite right, that something's off. I think we talked about it when we talked about it originally. It has the greatest circular scene. I think that has been pulled off in quite some time. It's got that might for me be this year's I'm thinking of ending things, which is very narratively trippy. And this also is very narratively trippy as seen through the eyes of a person who, you know, it ends up not knowing what he can and can't trust. And then getting to that final scene and that ultimate realization finally crashing upon him and seeing Anthony Hopkins break down, you understand why it is he got the Oscar for Best Actor. It's amazing. It's an amazing movie. It's not one of those ones that I'm like, hey, let me run back to rewatch again, like you were saying with Violet. But it is one that you're like, what other things did I miss? Because like, hey, I'm all proud that I caught these other things, but what's some other stuff I missed? And it's worth another watch again. It's just one of those. It's one of those ones that I think if you were looking for great acting that doesn't look like a guy just acting, it's all very natural. That's one thing that Anthony Hopkins is. That's kind of his modus operandi, is making acting natural. He's very casual about his acting. And of course, Olivia Colman's at the top of her game right now. So just seeing those two kind of dance and parry and spar around with each other on screen, it's great story, great acting, great editing. This movie also lives and dies by its editing as well. The Father, man, good joint. That's my number one this far for the year of 2021.
Good pick. I think that's what's been trippy for me is with the organizations I'm in, I saw some films in 2020. And so for me, The Father was a 2020 film.
Yeah, I saw it in 2020. I saw Minari in 2020, but
Same.
I went and double checked, and those wide releases were 2021. And I was like, yes, glad that in there.
No, I'm totally with you. I mentioned it on the last show, but a documentary, The Penny Black, is listed as a 2020 film, but it finally got a Laramie, I think, virtual cinema release in 2021 before going digital. So it's a 2021. It can be counted as a 2021 film. And I was like, fuck yeah. Just because of, when you are in groups like we are, you start to have to really follow that kind of stuff. And
yeah, don't reach out to a company and ask for a screening of a movie that does not fit within when you're trying to get a list of your top whatevers of the year. And they're like, sir, that was last year. Like what happened with me with Weathering with You. And I was like, disregard this entire email then.
Well, that sucks, particularly because Weathering with You coming back to cinema.
Yes, it is. Every time I'm in Best Buy, I look at it and I'm like, not quite yet, Weathering with You. Not quite yet.
If I find out that the premiere in September screening is 4DX, I might have to brave it. Have to brave it doing a 4DX of that movie. Talk about a fucking roller coaster. Anyway, this was a great list. There were some serious surprises. And when I say that, obviously my list, I already knew my list, and my list is public, so anybody can take a look at it at any point. It's if you know my social media handle, it's the same handle on Letterboxd. You're welcome to follow me. But I love the variance. Quite literally, I applaud the variance. It's well done. Well done, sir.
Little drama, man. Little capes and tights.
Little hips, little pelvis, little hips, little pelvis.
And I wouldn't go so far as to call in and of itself a documentary. I'm not a huge fan of documentaries, but it has that tone and feel to it. So it's a little bit of difference in there, here and there. Try to keep people on their toes. That's why I don't like to put these lists until much later on. So it can have that element of surprise to it.
I'm less interested in my case. It's less about surprise and more. It helps me to keep track of what have I seen? What did I like? Okay, what did I like in regard to other things that I've seen this year? Which one within this group, which one resonated with me more? And for me, at the end of the year, it's become very helpful in going, have I seen the thing? Yes, I have. Here's what I thought about it. Okay, cool. Then when I watch a new thing, how does it fit within this barometer? But that's just how my brain works.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I revisit it with every new movie I watch, which is also traumatizing. But
I keep an offline list to keep myself kind of in check. But for me, it's for the purposes of a good show. I'd like to have that surprise element here. Yeah.
Surprise isn't everything for a good show.
You got anything else before we wind this bad boy down, sir?
Well, one thing I do want to point out, simply because I hear a lot of folks throughout the year go, there's nothing good to see. I've got 29 movies varying from a 5-star to a 3.5 on my favorites list.
Well, there you go. There's
going
plenty
from
to see
Violet
this
at
year.
number 1 to Army of the Dead at 29. And by the way, Justice League is number 20 currently.
Okay, well, there you go.
So, but keep in mind, for me, that was a 4-star film. And I have other films that were like 4.5 that populated in between.
Right.
So if I have enough 4.5, it becomes a 20.
Yeah, it bumps down.
But just that in terms of commentaries, if anybody here, because we've talked about a few, if you liked Godzilla versus Kong, check out the commentary for that.
Yes. If I remember correctly, Let Them Fight, I do believe, is your quote for that review, or your headline for that review.
Yeah, it was part of the title.
Release.
You can let them fight anytime you want.
That's right.
The one thing I was disappointed in that it didn't really fully connect with me is that the pilot of Ghidorah has the same last name as Ken Watanabe's character. So it was always rumored that that new character, the pilot, is his son. And considering that there was a bunch of stuff that was shot for Godzilla versus Kong that was then, they went, okay, we need to go in a different direction. And they got rid of a bunch of footage and reshot a couple things over 2 days, apparently. I would like to know what that other footage was, because if those two characters are related, I want to know how the son of we have to protect the Titans became, I want to pilot the thing that's going to fucking kill the Titan.
Right.
Like, because we don't get enough from the character to know if he's like, Godzilla killed my dad. Godzilla didn't kill his dad, but Godzilla killed my dad. Like, what happened there? There's some richness.
That missing tissue.
And so we don't get that in the commentary, but there's some other interesting stuff I would definitely recommend.
Boom. There you go. Done and done. And that is it for the 51st episode of the Cine Men, man. Our top 5. We will, like I said, we'll be back in late December for our top 10 of the year.
When we're doing the next episode, Jesus, we're taking 6 months off.
We're taking a break.
Don't tell people that.
We'll see what of this makes the cut, man, for the top 10, man. And yeah, that's all I got, man. Take it easy out there, and we will see you next time around.
Later.